Live streaming is on.
All right, seems like this is working here. Video's coming through. Excellent. So I'm just going to stream here for a little bit. I'm just going to work on some designs for the Bitcoin Core app. Let me see how I can actually share this link here to the stream, if that's possible. Okay. I'm just going to post this in Slack real quick. Open Design, that seems like a good channel. I'm going to stream some design work on the Core app. Probably going to, I don't know, maybe spend an hour on this. See how it goes. So the goal today, hope the audio is coming through here too. Can't really tell. My goal is the following. We have this index here. So the Core app, so there's a new Bitcoin Core app being built, a new GUI. The old one was started 10 years ago or so. It looks like this. It's built on Qt, GUI widgets, I think that's what it's called, and the technology is not going to be much longer supported. So the design is a bit stale and outdated, and it just kind of needs to be rethought from the ground up, modernized, refreshed, because it's been like 10, 12 years or so. And the idea then is to start with a really good foundation, and to really thoroughly reconsider everything that is in this application, because a ton of information and features have been built in. And then just take all of that, make sure everything that's still valid moves over to the new app, but then also improve it based on the wish lists and complaints that people have, and also consider kind of forward-looking features. So, for example, hardware device support, multi-sig support, NFC, maybe even things like what is it called? Inheritance planning, and all the things that are possible now and in the future that were maybe not possible at the time this application was built initially. So here, this is what the team did this review of all these screenshots, which was really helpful, added tons of notes. And what I want to do is kind of take an index of all of these screens and set up just loosely the framework for them in the new design. So here is, let's see, here's my workspace for the new design. So we currently have a pretty good design system in place. Design docs, actually, let's take a look. Design system, we have our colors, component, text styles, different layout logic, how all of this stuff works. And so I think we have all the basics in place, and the design aspect for all the screens can just focus on how to present things, how to split it up, what to tell people, what options to give them, how to organize them, and all that. So here is my workspace here in the Figma file. And at the top here, what do I have here? Some variations of onboarding. Then there's this concept of a block explorer that might make it in the application at some point. So the first version of the app just has a block log, basically. So all it does is run the node and visualizes it in a very simple way. But then let's say you click here, then you can see your list of latest blocks. Tap on a single block, tap on the transactions, the inputs, outputs, and you can go even further and just see some of the technical data, because from what I've heard is that developers they don't love it, but they need to look at this, and it is extremely helpful for them sometimes when they debug things, when they work on certain parts of Bitcoin, that they can easily inspect the application. There's some, this is kind of a first draft, I think. There's a whole bunch more to do, so the information is not final here. There's some things I like to do here. They come up with nice visuals, like a visual language for presenting transactions and addresses, inputs and outputs. Then that's the same variation here, just with sidebar. Instead of a single column, then here were some initial sketches for the wallet. That's the basic. The big V2 is the wallet. V1 just a node. V2 can lets you have an actual wallet in here. So this is a new screen that doesn't exist. That's where you have a list of all your wallets. In the current GUI, you have a, it's not in these screenshots, I think, but if you have multiple wallets loaded, then there's a drop down here in the top right. My cursor is not shown here, but here in the top right, there's this drop down where you can switch between wallets. But thinking it might be easier if we have a dedicated screen, and then I can add more wallets. And then it's much easier to see like how much is in each one. Last time they were opened, delete, maybe potentially see, for example, here, if this is savings wallet, there could be an icon. Let's pick a different one here. 2 keys would indicate that it's a multi-sig wallet, for example. And then we have a send screen. So I think the top navigation here basically stays the same. Send, receive transactions. I think we can get rid of this overview screen altogether, because that really just shows the balance and transactions, which is pretty much the same thing that the transaction screen can do. Balance is always in the top left anyways, and you just see your transactions. Of course, we have to figure out here how we show when the balance is not final, when either blocks are being loaded or when there's some money in transit and not confirmed. But I think that's no biggie here. So we end up with these 3 tabs, and on the top right, we end up with secondary tabs, which might be devices at some point, any type of hardware wallets that you've maybe connected and want to use or manage. This one would go back to the node. So that's a custom icon for the node. It's meant, I don't think it's very good yet, but it's meant to represent this graphic here, like a simplified version of it. And the color and whatnot, ideally, maybe there's some, maybe it's green, blue, yellow, whatnot, represents whether it's up to date, looking for blocks, new block came in, this type of stuff. Then we still have this node screen. And then we have settings, which in the current GUI, there's main, wallet, network, and display. So here, let's see. Yeah, here I simply copied those over. I have not thought through any of them, and we might break them down very differently in the future. For example, prune block storage, that's really something node related. That could go under node settings, for example. And potentially display might be more relevant for casual users, language to use, units, that might become the first one. Whether we still offer different fonts, it's also to be discussed. So we'll just see. So this might change, really just kind of a placeholder. Then there's a second layer of options, which are these here. Information console, network traffic peers, node window. I was thinking, this is something when I'm here in this node screen. So this is currently my selected tab, that I can have some icon here in the corner. And it doesn't have to be magnify. Magnify usually stands for search. Here the idea is that it means inspect or look closer. And then you would be able to go in and see, just configuration, mess with the console, see network traffic, or see your peers. Fairly technical stuff. Casual user probably won't require this or even know what to do with it. Yeah, but might need to come up with a different icon here too. It should not be a gear because here is already up here. Should be something different. And also the question is whether those, I think each screen separately needs to be considered at some point as its own thing. I'm just focusing on top-level navigation. Then there are a few more screens here, which is about Bitcoin Core, about Qt, list of command line options. There was another thing. Let me see. Yeah, the console here. This might be, is this related to the console here, I guess? Kind of curious. I'm not even sure how you access this command line options window here, but it seems like this should be tied to the console. And there should be kind of some prefill here, autocomplete, since that's, I think, what you're doing there. Actually, command line options and RPC console are different. So I have to figure out where this one actually goes. Then that's the same one, I think. Then we have signing messages and verifying messages and Open Bitcoin URI. Not totally sure where sign message and verify message goes in the overall UI. I think there's also something where we need to figure out what this potentially could be used for. It is a general, let me see, yeah, something we have to figure out. But right now it's really just more about taking index of all of these different screens. Then we have all these mobiles, creating a wallet. You want spot to be encrypted. That's kind of a, encrypting a wallet cannot fully protect you. Okay, that's just informational. Maybe it does not need to be a pop-up. Supplied passphrases do not match. Maybe that doesn't need to be a pop-up, can be inline validation. Warning if you encrypt your wallet. Yeah, maybe that is a modal. Encryption, creating wallet. Yeah, this is kind of a big one here. That is like its own project in itself. But what I'd like to do first here is I'd like to just set up placeholder screens. So here's settings main, here's settings wallet. Let's see, that one will be main wallet. Okay, so we're gonna have 4 screens here. We're gonna have 4 screens here. Let's make sure we have even spacing here. So that's kind of, okay, let's see if this one works well here. It's not good. No, it's not. So here we go. Does that make sense? Main wallet, network, display. Wallet, there will be network, and that will display here. With those 4 screens. And yeah, doubt anyone's here in the chat. Cool, no one. Just checking on YouTube real quick. And so we have these 4 screens. Also going to give them proper names here. This is node peers. This is node console. This is node network traffic. Settings main. Settings wallet. Settings network. And then settings, display. Okay, so we have these 4 screens here. And, you know, it might be potentially better to organize this a little bit differently here. Let's put these, since these are kind of related to each other, they're kind of sub-items. Let's put them this way. Okay. And we can give it a proper title. So this would be here, node and node. Let's call it settings for now. Dot. Yeah, so we have a sequence here. Yeah. And what do we call those? Those called application settings. Node has its own thing going on. Application settings are their own thing. And then my guess is that send and receive will also be fairly complex. I think all of these will need their own dedicated space to figure out the details. Okay, I'm going to add this one here. Then send will be its own thing. Send. I'll put these little snippets here on the left. Then let's look at that. Receive will be its own thing. It always happens that these things start just very simple, and then they get a lot more complex. Let's receive. And activity. No, did not want to do that. Activity. And what did I do here? I think that belonged here. And maybe that one went here. Not sure. Figure it out. And then we have some of these supplementary screens. So when you create a payment request or you request details, this could go here. Actually, those are all part of requesting. Let's throw them all over here. Just some more space. Okay, I think I need a new workspace here. It's just too much stuff in here at some point. Okay, this was an exploration on how to communicate what network you're on in the application. Well, it should be explicit. The color of this tag could show which network you're on. Backtest blue, testnet green. I don't think I need this anymore. So, they're all the kind of useful explorations to keep around sometimes. But for now, I'm just going to move stuff out of the way. It's a workspace. It can be messy. So, okay, so now we have wallets, send, receive, activity. I'm going to put node settings, application settings up here. Then I'll put send stuff. It's going to line up. Here we go. Then we have send and receive, and then we have wallet creation, which, like I said, that's going to be a beast here. Create a wallet. Yep, now we have a little bit of a page structure here. And, here in wallet overview, we need an initial view where it simply says create your first wallet. Actually, let's use a header component here. This one. Let's switch colors real quick. Go, and we want text, icon, label, button, centered. Create your first wallet. Yeah. Create wallet. Blah, blah, blah. Something probably will go here. And then we might need, let's say, a plus icon, white. Cool. So it's empty. You don't have a wallet yet, right? So yeah. And then once you have your first one, you have 2, 3, 4, 20. Then that's what it's going to look like. Question 2 is if, I mean, this is a different topic here. Once you go through onboarding, do you end up here, or does it throw you straight into a flow to either add, import, create, link a wallet? But that's something else to figure out for the initial onboarding flow. Initial onboarding, we have pretty good ones sorted out here for the node runner. And then we're going to have to adjust this for the wallets. But we'll get there. So for send, Jakob did a great exploration here for sending. By default, it can be very simple. Put an address, put an amount, press send. That's it. Now it's more helpful if you say, okay, this is what this application's for. I'm paying someone back for lunch or something. And so that's kind of just for your own tracking in the future. Maybe you can also, maybe there's a contact system where you can assign a person. So there's a little face and somebody's name with it or so that can be expanded. Then maybe somebody has it, there are fee options. Maybe somebody's in a hurry or they just don't care. And then they can have some, hold on, we have this fee options here. How important is this? How fast do you want it to go? Fast, slow, how important is it? Super important. Then it's going to go really fast. It gives you these presets. Or you can do a custom where you enter your own, what's it, sats per byte or whatever that's, sats per kilobyte here. Byte? Not sure. And then some extra options if you want to enable raise play fee, subtract fee of amount. All of this could be hidden completely, but it might also be visible. Then another complexity here is coin selection, if you want to do that. Another level to this are multiple senders, which can very easily get very messy. So let's say every time you add a recipient, that's this whole row of things. Kind of gets messy, bulky to import, could be paginated, could, maybe with 2 recipients, it looks like this, maybe about 3 or 5 plus, it turns into a more compact table, assuming that you're kind of more intense user. Let's say you want to distribute some Bitcoin to 20 people, you want to put a bunch of addresses and evenly split it up. There are different use cases where maybe some I don't know, table view with very effective, maybe even CSV import or so might be helpful. And I think there was something else here. Oh, yeah, all of this other stuff. So you want to load a PSBT from a file. You just want to sign a transaction that you maybe set up in a different wallet, and then export it again. Maybe you want to connect to hardware device. You want to open a URI. There are all kinds of different ways to initiate transactions and start them. So I think this, I'm not going to dive too deep into this because Jakob already started on it and he's working through all of these different variations, which is awesome. But there's a lot of complexity here. Then with receiving, slightly different. There are a couple things we need to figure out here is the current GUI, it tracks a list of your requests. there's somewhere a list of all your requests. Is this one? Not sure where that is right now. It's probably one of them. I'm just not getting it. But whether to combine all of this in activity. So activity could include requests that you created and that were either paid or not. Maybe there's a simple filter. Or maybe it is here, a list of all the requests. And then once a request actually receives Bitcoin, that kind of moves to the activity field, potentially. Not really sure. Something we'll have to discuss. And then the current design here also has a label and a message. Received with label, received with address. But over here, yeah, there's label and message. They're not very clearly used. Here's it says request payment to test label. In this case, the label is, yeah, I guess it stands for the address, right? It's kind of a name for this address. And the message is what, like here, the label and the message are both sent along. So it's not really clear, like, is one thing for the person, is one thing for myself to keep track of things, the other a message, like, hey, please pay me for XYZ. Not totally sure. I hope we can streamline that one. But something else I wanted to do here real quick are set up these screens that we'll also need. So we'll have about Bitcoin, about Qt, and command line options. So just going to call these. It's great. Just call those informational. Miscellaneous could be another term for them. And since I'm not totally sure where they'll go, just grab this screen and put in this header again. Switch the lights off on that one. Remove this, and that's called about Bitcoin. So, and that will be, let's see, centered. Let's put this at the top. Some useful info. Blah, blah, blah. Then we need to include, so that's probably just going to be very simple, text-based. That is about Qt, which I believe has to be in here, because it has to be in the application just to licensing. It also makes sense, right? Give credit to the tools that we use, especially when they're open source and we love them. Let's see. Command line options. Command line options. And then this one was sign and verify. Sign and verify messages. And just for the sake of it right now, also going to put these two tabs in here. Sign, verify. For container, and then, okay, let's see. Let's give this a nice round number, 200. Okay. Now, let's see. Any screens were completely missing still? Appears. These ones, create wallet will be its own thing. It's the same. Okay, now I feel like there's a decent representation of kind of the screens in the application. Now, stuff that's missing here are the Explorer and the console. I already did console explorations somewhere. Here, developer console. So this is what the console could look like. I'm just gonna, for completeness sake, I'm going to add this here. Here's the console. That's kind of weird. I feel like the console would really benefit from being a full screen experience where just, no matter how big or small your window is, you don't have, this overhead up here. For spacing, how's that set up here? That is inset left and right by 20. Okay. Let's keep this spacing. Okay, good enough for now. So we have the console, and then Explorer. I guess the question here is this also reachable through the node? Is that where I have to go? I click on the node, this is my access to all of this data. And then here I click, I don't know, somewhere on this block, and then it opens an Explorer. Maybe there's another button here or here that says Explore. Yeah, not totally sure of that one yet, but also just going to take one screen here. I'm going to put it here. So we might access the Explorer here. Okay, something I haven't talked about yet is creating a wallet, which is illustrated here. Create wallet, test, encrypt wallet, disable privacy key, make blank wallet, descriptor wallet, external signer. Very hard to figure out what's going on. Bosch spent some good time here trying to, with the current widgets GUI, trying to think through this and systematically kind of create this onboarding flow with the existing design system. I think we can, now we have the opportunity to really think through this and make it super amazing, bulletproof for the future. And I spent just a little bit of time with this and came up with something like this. But in reality, it needs to be a lot more complex. So I'm just going to copy this and throw it over here, and I can screw around with it. It all starts with, I want to create a wallet. Well, what wallet do you want to create? I can create a regular single signature wallet that will be fully managed in this application, which is kind of, I think, right now, Bitcoin is kind of the default, right? Or most wallets, that's the default. It just creates some keys, and that's it. Then, but the problem here is you're in a hostile environment. You lose your backup. There's just one key. There's no, if your system's compromised, that's it. If you lose them, that's it. It's fine. It's good for certain amounts, but at a certain level, it's external wallet. The keys are somewhere else on a separate device that maybe never even touches the internet, super secure. And that way you use this desktop application to just kind of manage things. And then when it comes to signing something, approving a transaction, you tap your NFC, you plug in your USB, whatever it is, you send the transaction to the device, it signs it, it sends the sign transaction back, and this wallet just sends it off, gets it confirmed. Then multi-key, well, could be one key here in the application and one key on your device, or it could be both keys, two keys on two different devices, or maybe one key belongs to someone else, or maybe there are 5 or 20 keys and managed by different people. All kinds of different combinations that are interesting here. I think there's also an interesting combination where and we have this in the design guide. There's kind of an assisted multi-sig. So let's say there's a third-party service that has a key and it signs transactions below a certain amount. But then above a certain amount, you need to pull out your hardware wallet. Probably not right for core, but I think I just wanted to say there are all kinds of different combinations here, whether it's you yourself have all the keys, or they're split between different people that you trust, or maybe people, entities that you trust for some reason, whatever it is. And then view only, you just put in an XPub. Your wallet is maybe somewhere else, and you just want to kind of keep eye on the activity. Let's say, I don't know. And then custom, right? If you're super hardcore, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're a hobbyist, maybe you work in some institutional setting, maybe there's something really unique, maybe you want to use a certain address for just whatever it is, right? That is, your route to do whatever you want. And there might be other combinations here as well. And even if you go into custom, there might be another, advanced level in here where it says like, here are the most common options, and then like here are dangerous options, for example, where only go in here if you really, really know what you're doing. And then whenever I choose here, I could get a different experience. So regular wallet could be very simple. We might just give people like, this is what the type of wallet it is. Here's what it does. Here's how it works. Okay, cool. I got it. I agree. And then, I put in a name and a password. Probably should also be some information about what this password does, how it works. And then we might say, okay, your wallet's ready, now go ahead. But as Sebastian brought up yesterday, there's probably more to do here. One is we may want people to take them through a backup flow that says, here's how you back this up. Do it now. Once you're done, come back, press this button, and continue. And then the next thing we might say is, okay, now your wallet is ready, but because it's a single sig wallet, to ensure you're happy with everything, make a small transaction for 2,000 sats, whatever. And then once that's done, then you can be sure that, and nobody steals it or whatever, that you're good to go here. You can safely, securely use this wallet. And I'm not sure if the UI should do all of this. Like, let's say it will not allow you to request high amounts until you've done an initial small transaction. Whether the UI kind of gives you tips on what you should do, or whether it enforces things you can do. But for the sake of it right now, let's just add a few more steps in here. So what did I just say? We have, let's back up your wallet. First step is download save wallet file. Here you go. Awesome tips on how to securely store your wallet file. Okay. I have backed it up. I backed it up. And that, let's say that one just takes me to the next screen. And let's make this one, because it's kind of an in progress thing. Let's give it a different icon. We have a file icon. Here we go. Now we have no big version that we'll have to do for now. Okay. And then your wallet is ready. It's good practice to make a small test transaction before you actively use this wallet for larger amounts. Just keep it at this for now. Okay, and then it could say, okay, make small initial, makes some sense here. See, already streamed for 40 minutes here, talking 40 minutes, no viewers. Awesome. It's exactly what I was hoping for, just kind of peacefully and quietly work. Okay, so we have this one here as well. Let's connect these. I don't really like how strong these lines are. Just let's make them a little bit lighter. Maybe they should be dashed. Okay. All right. So question is now, many questions here. So I am going to move all of this further over. $41. Okay. Just going to try this out here. We might need an introductory screen for almost every screen here. So for every flow, not screen. Let's say, and I'm just being a little bit overcautious here. Let's say we want an explanation about every type of wallet before the user goes into them. So I click it here. There's some very basic information. And then I get into all the different options. So then I set it up, which can be very, very simple or very complicated. And I always have to enter a name for the wallet, probably maybe a password for every single one of them. Probably not, actually. And then the backup flow is probably also pretty different. And then let's say I set up a view-only wallet. I don't need an initial deposit. So there'll be very custom flows here. So view-only wallet can probably, okay, I'm just going to do this step by step here. Okay. Regular wallet, enter name and password. I'm going to back it up. Wallet's ready. Test transaction. Okay. What's going on here? Weird stuff. Yep.
We order pizza for lunch.
Okay. Gonna be pizza for lunch. Awesome. And very busy day here in the house. Then, okay, very simple. Here's some information. It's what you need to consider. Enter your name and password. Back it up while it's ready, but make sure make your initial deposit. And who knows, after this one, it could show a QR screen potentially. Then another simple one is view only wallet. So after this one, let me delete all this stuff here. Do not need to back anything up. I do not need to make a test transaction. I'm not sure if this needs to be, if there's a password involved. Your wallet is ready. You can't make transaction. I'm not going to write this right now. But that will be continue. Cool. I guess what happens next? What do I want to see with the view? I want to see the balance next, right? Okay, then we have, what's this one here? Oh, this is custom wallet. Only wallet, wallet, multi-key wallet. Yeah, this was external wallet here. External wallets. Okay, so external wallet, then based on how you want to connect SD card, there's this separate Python script that's needed right now in order to bridge core to the hardware device, NFC, maybe something in the future, maybe on some devices. And then who knows, Bluetooth, I don't know. There might even be a different wallet running on the same application. Who knows? I don't know. There might be something else. And then based on those, you might also have different interactions. So it might say, well, use this Python script. Or it might say, insert SD card. See, make sure everything's right distance here. Okay. So might be different options here. I'm not going to add, I'm going to remove this something else here. I'm just going to keep it at these options. Yeah. Okay. And interestingly, this will also be repeated here. There will be a bunch of different overlap. And that's because of the multi-key wallet. Especially with custom one here. I have no idea what really goes in here. That's where, let's say you want to create a wallet structure without private keys. And I believe that is an option in here, blank wallet. No private key, unlike a watch-only wallet, private keys can be imported at a later time, making this a standard wallet. So a watch-only wallet, you can export, but you can never turn it into a wallet that can make transactions. But a blank wallet is just, I don't know, some empty file structure, I guess. And then I'm not really sure why you want to use that, but I'm sure there are really good reasons for it. And then you can add the private keys later. So there might be some stuff, and I'm not really sure if this is kind of mostly for developers or also for hobbyists, institutions, other situations. But this might get pretty complex at some point. And of course, with multi-sig, so an important thing here is that if somebody wants to do this, that they, let's see the UI kit. There's some stuff for multi-sig in here. Multi-key wallet setup. We might ask, create a shared wallet. Like, do you manage the whole thing, or will there be other people involved? And how many keys do you want? Why? What that means. So, for example, I guess I could just copy paste this screen here as a placeholder. So, recommendation like why you need 3 keys, and let's say it requires 1 extra device, 1 key here, one some external device. And then you have to go to the key backup. So if you decide, there are options here, like how do you want to create this key? Do you want to create it on this device? Or do you want to put it on a SD card? I don't know, import it from somewhere, copy, paste it, million options. Import it, hardware wallet, this type of stuff. And then give that key a name, and then it should give you a summary of all the different keys that were created and where they are and how they're managed. And I think as a user, you should always be able to have that insight and see that's where you can understand that the naming is important here. There's in this smartphone setup, there would be 1 key on this device, and it says my phone, very easy. Ledger that says added. I've already imported this key, but then let's say my cold card, I'm not done yet. I still need to do that potentially. And then the wallet backup here. There's now the key itself can be backed up, but also the coordination information about all the other keys and how they're going to fit together should be backed up, making backup more complex. And then people should be informed about what's going on. For example, here it says you can view all transactions, but you need 1 cosigner to confirm transactions you want to make. And an interesting thing is if let's say you choose, well, this is my personal wallet, then names like my phone, Ledger, cold card make sense. But if you do a shared wallet setup, it might, the verbiage might be different. The same thing might happen with the verbiage might be different. Might explain that, not call them keys, but cosigners, or not devices, but cosigners. And then you might enter a person's name, like who is cosigner number 1. And it assumes, it's just a different way to communicate with the participants and for a user to understand what's going on. So it's not just like, okay, here are 3 keys and shows them random hashes. And then the same thing goes for wallet import also. I guess we'll have to do that one too. If the only option is to import a wallet.dat file that has all the information in it, then very easy. But if you want to import recovery phrases, private keys, if you want to be able to recreate kind of multi-sig coordination setups based on individual keys, it might also be kind of complicated and turn into a very complex flow with lots of different screens here. So yeah, I think this is going to get pretty complex here eventually. So just for completeness sake, just going to put this in here. I guess all of them, we're always going to name them. So I'm just going to copy paste these screens here. And whether all of them need a backup, let's just assume that all of them need to be backed up. And then we'll try to fill in all the details. And then if a screen does not need backup, or like, let's say the view-only wallet doesn't need a backup, potentially, I'm just going to remove this here. And I'm sure a lot of people will come in and correct me with a lot of things, details here, which is excellent. So, this is one of the situations where I think design is an amazing planning tool. I do not know how you would manage this type of flow and complexity if things were not laid out, if it was just a flow diagram, or if those things just existed in code. Not sure how you would stay on top of this experience. Yeah, and it's not connecting. Okay, kind of works. Okay, so we have these basic steps. Well, maybe we can also label them here real quick. Let's just say I want this to be medium sized. This is wallet intro to wallet type. Then we have the actual setup. It's called options. Then we need name and pass. Next is backup. Then we might have a test transaction. I guess one thing here is, do we split this up even further and say let ready? So view only might actually be over here. So let's say, we kind of have these categories of steps that people go through. And you don't have to go, not all types need all of them, is my guess. So this one might go through test transaction, then show you a QR code potentially. Regular wallet, view only might skip all of this stuff. You just enter XPub. Maybe this could even go on this screen here. Wallet name, XPub, maybe you don't need a password. That's it. Very quick flow. Then custom, I have no idea. That's where we probably need a dedicated session and real information from experienced users and developers to figure out what goes in here. No clue what goes in. Then multi-key wallet, that can potentially be very long. So let's say, well, I want 4 keys and 2 should be required to sign a transaction. And then I should ask, well, how do you want to create the first key? I'd say on this device, on this computer. And it'll create it, cool, ask you to back it up, done. And I'll ask, how do you want to create the second key? Well, I want to import it from device, or I have it here, I can copy paste it. And that could potentially, I don't know, 10 different screens to get people through this step by step. And then test transaction might also not be, I guess with the multi-sig, it's even more important to do a test transaction because you want to make sure that everything harmoniously works together. And then the last one, the bottom one, it's hardware wallet. You probably also want to make a test transaction, which in this case is a little bit different. You create the transaction in this wallet, you send it to your device or whatever, sign it, and then send it back. So there's a whole thing here with this test transaction here to sort out. But how long have I been going here? Okay, an hour. That's actually an excellent time to stop here. going to, I guess I can just ditch this one, move this up here. And a super important, helpful thing here would be to turn this into a prototype. Just nice, lots of remnants here. But yeah, turn this into prototype and click around and see if all of this stuff makes sense eventually. But for me, that's kind of a first step. A lot of times you kind of take index of everything that you have, everything you want, and then you just kind of start roughing things in, create placeholders for the screens, think about how people navigate between all these different pieces, which ones are often used and central, which. Okay. Good old Jitsi always cuts things off after an hour, but I'm basically wrapped up here as well. So yeah, like I said, one of the first steps, kind of try to kind of get a picture of everything that's going on in an application like this. We have our design system in place. We can figure out the top level navigation, how these things kind of connect, how people go back and forth. And then we can take on individual flows, and always assuming that these are all just placeholders and things will change. We'll do our best, but we cannot fall too in love with any of this stuff. If it doesn't work anymore at some point due to new features, tech changes, whatever, it just needs to change. These things need to be useful. And that is it for now. I'm going to wrap up. If anyone made it through here, congratulations and thank you. Hopefully it was useful. And that's it. Have a good one.